Welcome, everybody, early arrivals. We're going to get started in just a couple minutes. Feel free to put your name and affiliation in the chat if you would like. That's also a good way for me to make sure that the chat is up and working. Thank you. Thank you for using the chat. Glad it's working for everybody. Name, affiliation if you would like, and feel free to put in an emoji of how you're feeling this morning. Welcome, everybody. We're going to give it about one more minute and then we'll get started. Nice. Loving the emojis. Sunshine, some star eyes. Welcome, everybody. Okay, we are going to go ahead and get started. Today, we are hearing from our first in our sort of early spring webinar series, kicking us off, A Wade in DC's Waters, Creating and Maintaining an Urban Rapid Stream Assessment Program with Alicia Ritzenthaler. And my name is Michelle Berry, and I am the Stormwater Coordinator at Chesapeake Stormwater Network. So I'm sure we're all very familiar with webinars and with Zoom at this point, but just a couple reminders. This webinar will be recorded. So if anyone you know was not able to attend today and was disappointed, the recording and resources will be up on our website, hopefully by the end of the week, and will also be in our next newsletter. I will have one set of poll questions that will be coming up. But before we do so, just a reminder, questions and comments are very welcome. You can put them in the chat or in the Q&A. That's a good spot for me to be able to keep track of them because we'll do those at the end. There will be time. We're going to make sure that all the content of the webinar is wrapped up a little bit before 1. So we have time for Q&A. And then if the Q&A session goes a little bit after 1, you can feel free to hang out or jump off whenever you need to. And as always, we appreciate your feedback. I will send out a brief survey after the webinar, but not directly after. And we appreciate any feedback, comments, concerns, questions, anything along those lines. And a little bit about Chesapeake Stormwater Network. If you are not aware, we are a community of over 11,000 stormwater professionals from the Chesapeake Bay watershed and beyond. And our mission is to provide free resources and training, capacity building opportunities, as well as chances to celebrate the successes and innovation in our field. We do that through a couple means. We do it through the BUBBAs, or the Best Urban BMP in the Bay Awards, as well as highlighting folks in our newsletters. Joining the network is totally free, and basically it means that you are subscribed to our newsletter, where you will get all the latest and greatest in stormwater, and alerts you to our different programming and resources. And let me go ahead and pull up our brief little poll, which, every time I do these, I have to remind myself how. Okay. You should be seeing it now. And the questions are you familiar with Chesapeake Stormwater Network, which now you all should be, but if before this webinar, What is your current affiliation? Where are you located in the watershed or outside? And in today's topic, when was the last time you went wading in a body of water? I'm going to give it just another couple of seconds and then we will move on along. Okay. And if anyone was curious about the wading in a body of water question, majority said last time it was warm out, which I definitely understand, but it looks like we've got 3 cold plungers. So congrats to you. Keeping it cool. And upcoming at Chesapeake Stormwater Network, we do have a really wonderful set of webinars coming up. I'm very excited about across a broad range of losing my train of thought here. Broad range of innovations and topics. There we go. So next week we're doing Reimagine Middle Branch with Brad Rogers, and then we've got others over the next couple of months. And all of them are on Wednesdays, except I believe the one on March 5th. So if you're looking for more information about those, they're all up on the website and they're also on the newsletter if you got that last week. And finally, CSN does do trainings, and we do have the capacity for a few more trainings this year. These are totally free. They can be on site at your location or virtual. And we cover a wide range of topics, including the ones listed, from more general sort of BMPs all the way to more technical stuff like the stream restoration protocols and really beyond. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to myself or to David. I'll put my email in the chat before the end of this, and let us know if you have any interest. So handing it over to Alicia, a wade in DC's waters. So I'm going to just go through Alicia's bio real quick. Alicia Ritzenthaler is an environmental protection specialist at the District Department of Energy and Environment, whether conducting urban stream assessments, reporting on stormwater best management practices, or working on recreational water quality initiatives, which are all part of her regular day-to-day activities. Alicia is invested in developing tools and strategies to promote improved data collection, apply scientific knowledge to decision-making, and share science with the public in engaging, meaningful ways. She's currently responsible for leading the RSA program and has been involved in the program since its inception. So I'm now going to turn it over to Alicia.
Great, thanks so much. I will switch our screen over. Michelle, I assume you can hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great. And you have screen?
Yep, looks perfect.
Great. I'm going to try to cram lots of different topics into this webinar, but just to give a quick overview of where we're headed, I'm going to plan to share why we created the Rapid Stream Assessment Program, how we conduct our assessments, share a bit about our training program, all of the QA/QC work that we do for quality assurance, talk about our data management tools, the data products we've published, and close on what's in store for the next chapter of the Rapid Stream Assessment Program. I will often refer to the Rapid Stream Assessment as RSA, which is just the abbreviation for Rapid Stream Assessment, so I'll use them interchangeably, same thing. Jumping right in, our Rapid Stream Assessment Program was created in order to address a new MS4 permit that showed up in our 2018 permit, as well as to address some high-level evaluation of all of the wadable streams in the district. That latter need was something that was identified by DOEE while we were developing a separate but related revised monitoring program. We realized while we were developing the Rapid Stream Assessment Program that having eyes on the ground on these streams might be valuable to other professionals. And so staff reached out to other groups within DOEE, including our wetland scientists, as well as to folks like DC Water, who's our local water and sewer authority, to learn how the RSA program could be used to create other efficiencies and or cost savings to other programs besides just strictly meeting our permit requirements. So eventually the rapid stream assessments would come to collect information that was required in the permit, but as well as things like riparian buffer, our substrates, our water depth, whether there was presence of wetlands along any of these streams. We mark when there's, if we see something like a failing sewage infrastructure or road infrastructure that's lining the streams. All of those pieces of information were identified as being valuable to either our program or to our collaborators within DC Gov or within DC Water. The Rapid Stream Assessment Program covers a lot of ground, both literally and figuratively. We collect over 60 pieces of information depending on whether the stream is deep, whether there's no water, whether there's a little water, whether it's piped. It's all conditionally relevant, but we collect about 60 pieces of information and cover about 100 miles of stream as part of the Rapid Stream Assessment Program. In addition, we collect several different types of point assessments, such as severe erosion, where we see fish blockages, erosion, whether there's a bridge. Everything that we collect is photographed and georeferenced as part of the program. And through the Rapid Stream Assessment Program, we've helped to identify pollution sources, partnered with DC Water for more timely infrastructure repair. We've identified previously unmapped wetlands in the district. We've been able to ground truth our enhanced NHD data set, which is our stream reference, I guess, for the city, as well as to grow the subject matter expertise of staff, as well as our technical GIS capabilities within DOEE. I want to pause right here quick and emphasize that the way that we've designed this program is by placing an emphasis on collecting data that is meaningful. Although we're collecting a lot of data, our focus is really on collecting quality data, not just quantity of data. This program, as we'll walk through it, requires a significant amount of effort from a sizable team of staff here at DOEE that work on this project. So it was especially important to us that we are collecting data that is going to be usable, that's going to be meaningful to us, and isn't just going to sit on some remote computer server somewhere until it's forgotten. And so instead of waiting to see what the RSA data could be used for after we had already developed the program, we started developing the program by identifying existing data gaps so that we could use the RSA program to specifically help address those gaps. From the very start of our discussions about the possibility of conducting such large-scale stream walks, we brought together staff from across the Natural Resource Administration at DOEE to help inform us of what other data could be collected that would be meaningful to other programs besides the Water Quality Division where I work. And so we started grappling with what could be collected during the stream assessment program, as well as working through questions that would help us make sure that we were identifying and collecting information that was going to be useful to folks. So for example, we wanted to make sure that we chose responses, whether they'd be numeric or categorical, based on how that data would be used. And so we talked with folks about whether we should work in the metric units or standard units. We talked about what categories should be defined as so that they would well align with categories of other data collection efforts. And then, as I mentioned, we've also collaborated with DC Water to identify what information is useful to them. They have a separate program that helps identify failing infrastructure and infrastructure in need of repair. But by going out to the field together, both with DOEE staff and with DC Water staff, we had an opportunity to discuss the features and characteristics that both of our organizations look out for, so that if we do identify any infrastructure in the field, we're better able to pass that information along to them as well. Jumping into how we actually conduct the assessments. we include all of the streams in the district that are shallow enough to safely wade. Basically, that includes everything in the district except for the Potomac River, the Anacostia River, and the C&O Canal. Since those are the most widely known water bodies in the district, it might sound like we're excluding a lot of distance of stream, but the Rapid Stream Assessment Program assesses just about 100 miles of stream. So there actually is a ton of stream in DC that is of a wadeable depth. About 90% of the streams that we assess as part of the RSA program are perennial streams. Assessments are always conducted by starting downstream and working our way upstream. We define the bank side based on the direction of orientation. So if we're facing upstream and we're starting to conduct our assessment, the left bank is going to be on the left side and the right bank is going to be on the right side. I'll talk more about the importance of defining some of those like basic foundational elements a little bit later on, but it's good as we start here to have a sense of how we conduct these assessments. For the purpose of the Rapid Stream Assessment Program, all of the streams are broken into individual segments, which we refer to as a stream reach. Reaches are, well, reach assessments are performed on 300-meter sections of stream unless the character of the stream changes before 300 meters, in which case we pause the assessment where we're at, assess it, and then keep continuing. And so character changes that would trigger for us to end a reach are going to be changes in flow or water quality, things like water clarity, things like odor coming from the water. We would also end a reach based on an observation like floodplain connectivity changes or the approximate Rosgen classification changes significantly, as well as availability of in-stream physical habitat. That would also trigger a character change where we would end a reach. Just to give a couple examples of how this works in real life. Let's pretend that we're standing at location A on this diagram here. We begin conducting our rapid stream assessment at location A, and we start walking towards location B. We're in the stream. Everything so far looks pretty uniform, like it does here in the photo. Everything has that same type of character. And so when we get to location B, everything in this example still looks about the same, but we've gotten to our 300 meters. And so we end our reach here and we complete our assessment. To provide a different example, this is Oxen Run, and right now, again, let's pretend we're standing at location A in the diagram. We're looking upstream. We see that the stream is mostly a concrete channel. It's man-made. There's a very thin strip of riparian vegetation on each side, but for the most part, it's mowed grass at the top of this concrete channel. And so we're walking up this stream towards location B. We've gotten to location B at this point, but we've only gone 200 meters. So we don't need to end the reach based on distance. But once we get to location B, we notice a pretty significant change in the character of the stream. The photo on the right shows where the concrete channel actually ends, and you see that it starts into a sandy substrate. The banks are no longer armored after this point, and there's a much wider riparian vegetated buffer in this section of the stream. And so because the character of the stream changes at location B, we would go ahead and end our reach assessment and complete 2 reach assessments, one from the distance of A to B and another one from B to C. The reason that we break the reach when there's a character change is because we really want to ensure that our assessment responses are appropriately representing the whole stream reach. Whereas if we didn't break them, if we're answering the question, what is the dominant substrate type? If these two reaches that were photographed here were grouped in the same, we wouldn't be able to answer, like, is it concrete or is it sandy, and keep the information about where it's concrete and where it's sandy. And so when we see a character change, we end the reach so that all of our responses can be appropriately representing that geographic extent. I will say that in real life, we don't often see character changes that are quite as abrupt as the one pictured here, but we do probably break reaches more often based on character change than we do the maximum 30-meter distance. In addition to all of the stream reaches that we're assessing, we also complete a number of point assessments when we observe something like a crossing, a deficient riparian buffer, severe erosion, an armored bank, fish blockages, outfalls, exposed utility lines. Those are all point features which we also assess as part of the rapid stream assessment program. So how does this work into the stream itself? When we encounter a point, we're going to make a mental pause in our reach assessment and complete that point assessment right where we're standing. So in this example, we would assess point feature number 1 and then reach number 1. As we continue to work upstream, we would stop and assess point feature 2 and then point feature 3 and then complete the reach. And so we're actually collecting these point features as we go, and then completing the end of the reach assessment once we've seen the extent of that entire reach. You may have heard me mention that a few of the point characteristics are also things that we would record during our reach assessments. And so the way that we distinguish whether or not to assess something as a reach characteristic or a point feature is based upon the extent of where we see that feature. Something that gets assessed as a reach should be characteristic of that entire reach, whereas a point feature represents an observation made in just that discrete location. So in the examples shown here, part A is showing a stream reach that has a patchy riparian buffer throughout the whole reach. Some bits have buffer, some bits don't have buffer, but this patchwork pattern is characteristic of the reach as a whole. And so we're going to record that as part of the reach assessment. Whereas in example B, there's just one discrete location that doesn't have a riparian buffer. And so in that case, we would assess a point feature and say that there's a deficient buffer in just this specific place of the reach. Erosion is something that would work the same way. In example C, that pattern is characteristic throughout the reach. We see a little bit of erosion here and there. So it would be a reach characteristic. Whereas in example D, that erosion is more discrete. And so there'd be two places where we assess a point erosion. Some of this is a little qualitative, but or it's not qualitative, but subjective in terms of is it characteristic of the reach or is it at this discrete point? And I'll talk momentarily about the training that we do to help make sure that all the assessments are getting completed the same way. But if all of that wasn't already enough to keep track of while we're conducting these assessments, DC has a number of piped stream reaches as well. And so what do we do about those? Piped reaches are not uncommon in urban areas. And so I don't want to spend too much time on this because there's lots of stuff I want to talk about, but I'll just make a quick note that we do also have protocols for what happens when we get to a pipe section. Those also get assessed, but we'll assess them at the downstream end as opposed to waiting until we get to the top. That way we can actually see the stream flowing out of the pipe. So for our staff training and ensuring that we have really high quality data that's getting collected as part of this program, we've created a quality assurance and quality control plan that really consists of like 3 primary activities. There's a staff certification process that we've developed in conjunction with this rapid stream assessment program. We conduct annual training activities at the start of every field season. And then the third sort of component of this program is our field verification piece. So just to quickly talk through each of these, the purpose of the staff certification piece is to ensure that all of the staff that are participating in the rapid stream assessment program have the necessary knowledge to safely and accurately carry out the rapid stream assessments. Staff all routinely participate in the rapid stream assessment program, get certified to conduct these assessments. The required certification level depends on the role that each staff person anticipates fulfilling during the upcoming field season. So for example, a level A staff person indicates that that person is an expert in the rapid stream assessment program. They're going to serve as team leads. They often will help provide training to other staff members. They're typically staff members who've done rapid stream assessments for the last at least 1 or 2 field seasons. Level B certification indicates that a staff person has demonstrated all of the working knowledge necessary to complete the rapid stream assessment programs, but doesn't necessarily have a significant amount of experience doing so, and or isn't going to be regularly participating in assessments to the same degree that a level A staff person might be. There's always going to be at least 2 certified individuals going out for a stream assessment at a time. That's some safety, and also to help make sure that the assessments are getting completed in a way that is going to be uniform no matter who goes out into the field. We do occasionally have an uncertified person come out with us, and that's just at the discretion of the certified team members. Typically, if we have somebody come and join us for the rapid stream assessment who's not out with us on a regular basis, it's because that person is a student. And the rapid stream assessment program can be a really great way to expose students to both the local natural resources that occur in the district, as well as to give them an opportunity to engage with a whole variety of different DOEE staff. I mentioned early on some of the collaboration that we have within the Natural Resource Administration developing the project, and that has continued as we have implemented this program. Although a lot of the staff that participate in the program are within the Water Quality Division, we do have folks in our Watershed Protection Division, as well as our Regulatory Review Division, who go out into the field with us on a regular basis, participate in this staff training, our certified rapid stream assessment folks. And I think that adds a lot of value to the program as a whole. Regardless of staff certification, everybody participating in rapid stream assessments participates in our annual spring training. There is a set of online training modules specific to the rapid stream assessment. We also have a hybrid review session as well as an in-person field day. This all happens every year in the spring to get us all refreshed and thinking about rapid stream assessments again. The training modules are recorded. They're available in our sort of resource library on our our dashboard, which I'll share with you shortly. And then the review session is usually hybrid. Folks can join in person or virtually, either way. Last year, we used sort of an interactive polling platform like Mentimeter, so that we could almost run it like a sort of a game show style question. So we would have a question, we'd do a poll, and then we'd spend more time on the review session focusing on questions that there were some where staff answered differently to help us converge on how we should be answering these questions, and to make sure that we're assessing them all the same way. And then that third component of our annual training is to go out in the field, in person. No shocker, actually conducting these assessments in real life tends to be a little bit different than it is when you're sitting in an office doing the recorded trainings. So we go out and get that real world experience and example together. So for the field verification, the reason that we conduct field verification is because we want to ensure that the data that we're collecting is being collected in a way that isn't subjective, or at least as objective as possible. We basically want to calibrate, so to speak, all of the staff together so that no matter who's going out on a given day, that the assessments are getting recorded the same way, no matter who the staff team is that day. We perform field verification by having multiple assessment teams complete the rapid stream assessment of the same stream reaches independently from each other, and then we compare the assessment responses to see how well they match. We've established a rubric for deciding what the acceptable amount of variation between teams is. And then we can provide additional training or other sorts of intervention if we do see that our data is varying more than what we would expect. We conduct field verification at both the beginning of the field season as well as approximately halfway through-ish the field season. And the reason that we do the field verification is so that we can take action if there's some sort of data quality. We can address that early on before it impacts potentially an entire season's worth of data. Guys have probably got the sense now that we're collecting a lot of data with a lot of different people. And so in addition to the training and the field verification, something else that we do has been to add reference guides directly into our data collection tool. And so we're collecting data using our mobile devices. And so when there's been an example of greater data variation than we would like, we'll add that to a training, but we'll also embed it specifically in the tool. So in this example here, we have a question that's asking staff to help, that's asking staff to identify the approximate Rosgen classification. These stream assessments are intended to be rapid, so the Rosgen is just an approximation, but what we've done is we've added in a help tool right into our data collection app. And so that top question, would you like help determining what the approximate Rosgen classification is? And so when you choose yes, there's some additional questions that show up. Is the channel braided? What's the slope? What's the shape of the channel? And then based on your responses to that, the tool will suggest a Rosgen classification, which you can either accept then or choose your own. We've also added snippets of the field manual right into our tools. For example, we've put in, the conversions from inches to centimeters, so that it helps make sure that everyone's able to quickly convert if they need to respond in centimeters, but think in inches. And we've also, I mentioned how we determine bankside orientation. And so to help staff keep track in their brain of like everything that we need to keep track of, we've just written into the question itself, like, hey, reminder, bankside is determined when you're looking upstream. We've added some photos of different aquatic vegetation types. We don't expect staff that are participating in the rapid stream assessments to necessarily be an expert on all 60 different things that we're collecting here. And so we've been really intentional about building the tools and the training to make sure that all of the staff are confident in completing these assessments with a high degree of quality. And again, just to make it easier to collect high quality data. I mentioned the data collection tools that we're using are our mobile apps. We have customized our own specific data collection tools. While we were developing our data management strategy for the Rapid Stream Assessment Program, one of the first things that we did was make this really long list of all of the features that we wanted to see in our data collection tool. This table here has a lot of small text. Don't focus on the text. Basically, each row or each column here is indicating all of the features that we would have liked to have in our tool. We wanted it to have custom base maps. We wanted it to have interactive reference layers. We wanted to control our editing permissions based on who was going to be out in the field, who was going to be office only. We wanted to be able to embed some really strong conditional programming. And so this is an abbreviated list, but what you're really looking for is an entire column of all green boxes. The green boxes indicate that that tool supported a specific feature that we were looking for, where shades of yellow and orange and red all indicate some degree of not fully supported. At the time that we were developing these tools, there were no columns of green, even if we were looking at just this abbreviated list. And so what we did is we actually customized our own tool using Esri's field maps and Survey 123. We're using a custom URL scheme to link both Survey 123, previously it was called Collector, we've updated to field maps now, directly with Survey 123. So we use the mapping that's possible in field maps and combine it with the robust conditional programming form-based surveys that are found in Survey 123. The way this works out for us is that once we draw our stream reach or lay our point, we can just click on a link that will then take us to the appropriate Survey 123 form to fill out. And so we have it set up so that when you draw a reach, it takes you to the reach survey. And when you do a point, it takes you to the point survey. So you're always filling out the right set of information. And then we're using Survey 123 to guide staff through all of the questions that need answered. So when I say like conditional programming, what I'm like really talking about there is like, in this example, there's a question that says, is water present in this reach? You get a different subset of questions if you answer yes versus if you answer no. Because the next question then, if you answer yes, is the water flowing or stagnant? Well, that question isn't relevant if there's no water at all. And so using these survey tools helps ensure that the staff that are conducting these assessments always are collecting all of the right pieces of information and not having to keep track of the 60 to 100 different combinations of questions that might be out there. When a user submits the survey in Survey 123, it automatically populates and saves that data to the attribute table in field maps. And so when you go then back to the field map view, that data is there waiting for you. And the way that we make that work is by basing all of this data collection on an enterprise geodatabase. We migrated to this database last year after previously hosting it on ArcGIS Online. The primary driver for upgrading this database was so that we were able to record the spatial changes to the stream points and to the stream lines, as well as updating the attribute information. And so by enabling historic versioning, we can keep track of not only how the stream character has changed, but also the shape and extent of that stream reach. And so I had mentioned that it's really important to us to record where the reach break is so that we know spatially where that assessment is representing. And so this database allows us to keep track of both the changes to shape as well as the changes to attributes over time and associate which shape was present when we collected which attributes. And then all of this database is tied directly to our data collection tools in the field. So as soon as staff collect it, it's recorded into this database. And then that also allows us to put together some pretty what I think are great tools for accessing this data in real time. So as soon as, like I said, as soon as stuff is submitted, it's available everywhere. Until this time, DOEE had never had a comprehensive stream map that allowed users to explore the photos and investigate this whole myriad of stream and riparian corridor characteristics at just a click of a button. And so to put all of this information in the hands of DOEE staff anywhere they're working has been really valuable. We've also created this online interactive map and been able to share this data publicly. And so now it's available to everyone all the time. I'm going to quick toggle over and share what this dashboard looks like for real. Michelle, are you able to see my web browser now, or is it still stuck on PowerPoint?
It is still on PowerPoint.
Okay, I suspected that might be the case. How about now?
Yes.
Great. So this is our public-facing rapid stream assessment data dashboard. I'll have the link later on so you guys can explore it yourselves, but just as a quick preview, it's pretty map-centric. We have at the very top of the website some information about how to use the website. If you click here for more information, a guide pops up. And then you can also access our Rapid Stream Assessment Story Map to learn more about the program or to revisit a lot of these topics that I'm sharing with folks today. But if you choose the selector tool here and click on one of your points or reaches, I'm just going to highlight a few here quick, since we're not looking for a specific one. But when you select a point or a reach, photos of that point or reach are going to show up just below the map. When you have multiple things selected, or even just one, there may be multiple photos, and so don't miss the opportunity to tab over between them so that you can see them all. And then the data itself is available to you in the two tables below. And so the top table is our stream reach attributes, all the stuff that we collect during the reach assessments. If you click over where these little check marks are and the lines, you can show the things that are selected. And so it's going to highlight just the reach assessments that we've highlighted up here in the map. We highlighted a bunch of them because I dragged and dropped, but if you say only chose only chose one, then you'd only see one down on the table, but you can see that we've chosen a lot of them. And similarly with the all of our point assessments, this second table has tabs along the top of it indicating what the points are, and then you can explore the photos that way. So I didn't happen to highlight any armored banks here. You can see that the selection is 0, but I think we probably did capture some erosion points. We've captured some crossings, so you can do the same thing there. You can select the ones that are selected. These tables work both ways. If you select something from the table, it will then highlight on the map instead. And so we've unselected, but if I choose it from the table, my photo has updated to the new reach, and we can see in the bottom here of the map, it says one feature selected. If I tap on that, it'll take me to the reach that I selected, so I know where it's at in the district. So that's how you can access the rapid stream assessment data online. We've also have links to the documentation and our metadata, things that go along with this data set. If folks are interested in digging in a little bit deeper into the data itself. In addition to this public-facing dashboard, we've also created an internal one, which is also here. Sorry, my Zoom bar is covering up my options. And so this is what our internal data dashboard looks like. The Data Explorer tab here is the same as that public-facing data dashboards. The only difference is that we've added a list here of things that we had previously marked as urgent so that we know if we need to follow up on them or not. But unlike the public-facing dashboard, we also use this page for some internal coordination. So on the home page, we have, again, links to all of the documentation as well as our training modules that we can go back and revisit whenever. We also have embedded our RSA fieldwork calendar. So folks can come here and see, it's February right now, so nobody is on the calendar. But during the field season, it would pop up with who's assigned which day so that everybody has easy access for it. All of our resources are here together on this page. We've also used this, are starting to use this dashboard to help share the data internally with other teams. And so, for example, we have a fisheries tab now that we've started doing some different data visualization and views specific to address the data needs of our Fish and Wildlife Division. And so some of those internal custom tools live here as well. I'm gonna quick switch back to our slides. And I guess we're gonna start from the beginning. 1 second. I don't have a mouse anymore. Sorry, bear with me.
No problem. As that's loading too, we've got a couple questions in the chat and in the Q&A. I'll save them till the end, but just a reminder, if anyone does have questions, which we'll get into in just the next little bit, you can put those either in the chat or in the Q&A.
All right, Michelle, can you see my screen? I know it's not in presentation mode, but can you at least see the slide?
Yes, we can see the slide, just not in,
Okay.
in regular.
You might have to roll with this. Unfortunately, my mouse cursor is not available to switch it into presentation mode, but we'll keep going because I do want to be able to get to some questions. We're just about done. So far, I would say that our rapid stream assessment program has been very successful. At this point in time, we've assessed over 100 miles of stream, and we've recorded over 1,500 different point assessments. Our photograph collection is now almost at 4,000 photos because we're photographing each of these things as we go. Our initial field season was in 2019, and we did pause in 2020 for the pandemic, but we still managed to complete a first assessment for all of the the streams in the district. Sorry, still working on a mouse. This last year. So everything in the district has been assessed. And last summer, we started assessing streams for the second time. The last 18 months is sort of shown here on this, this timeline. It's been a really big year and a half for the program. In summer 2022, we completed the first round of assessments. That winter, we made some programmatic updates. That's when we upgraded our database to be able to record spatial changes. Last spring, we received a BUBA from the Chesapeake Stormwater Network, and then started our second round assessments. And then just this past fall is when we released the RSA dashboard and our story map to the world. We're really trying to make this data more accessible because, like I started off, we're trying to make this a meaningful data collection, and it's going to be most meaningful if people have access to the data. And now I can't advance at all. Let's see here. Okay. Success. Sorry. Last but not least, our goal is to assess all of the streams at least once every 5 years. That's going to require us to assess at least 20% of the streams each year. So far, that is a goal we've been able to meet. Like I said, we just started our second round of assessments. We're going to be continuing to try to improve these data dashboards and the data transparency tools, as well as increase our collaboration within the RSA team, as well as others at DOEE. I have links to the story maps and the dashboards here. And with that, I'll stop, and maybe we can try to get a few questions.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so much.
Question here. Please feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to talk later if folks have questions but need to drop off.
Perfect. Yeah, and you can leave this slide up, Alicia. Thank you so much for that webinar and all that fantastic information. It was very well done. I'm going to stop the recording here, and then we'll go into the questions.
Great.